between his front seats, he climbed out and headed for the set of plank stairs that led down to the restaurant's door. Inside, the place was dark and cool, like a cave. He didn't bother to turn on any lights. The entire west side of the building was a series of large glass windows that let in the light from the canal, which was as brightly lit as a border crossing. Plenty of light, then, for him to see by. He made his way past the long bar and through the dining room to the kitchen. Pushing the swinging door open, he felt a current of dry, hot air against his face and knew that he had, in fact, left the heater running. The sound of the rain pounding on the roof had probably caused him not to hear the hum of the unit, and therefore forget all about it in his rush to get home. He switched the heater off, then gave its power cord a tug, pulling its plug from the wall socket. Simply flipping a power switch seemed too little of a thing to have brought him all the way back here like this. He was on his way through the dining room in a second rush to get out of there and get home, when he heard something that made him stop short. He wasn't sure what it was, only that he had definitely heard something strange. It came from outside, he knew that much, beyond the glass and wood that surrounded him. The restaurant, like most places by the water, was solidly built, but not so much as to keep outside noises from finding their way in. The more he thought about it, the more he thought what he had heard was a scream. A man's scream. Very little could be mistaken for that. Still, he immediately doubted himself. It could have been the cry of a gull, or maybe even the squeal of a tire from some car suddenly braking on the Montauk Highway Bridge. Who, after all, would be out there on a night like this? The Montauk Highway Bridge was visible from where he stood, and looking toward it he saw nothing. No cars stopped or about to crash, just the steel bridge standing solemnly in the rain. He looked then at the deck just beyond the large window. Empty now, in the summer it would be, he hoped, full of people eagerly and freely spending money. He looked for a gull, but saw no sign of one, not sitting on a railing or riding the steady current of air moving through the canal. Finally, he looked toward the train bridge, which of the three bridges, Montauk Highway to the south, Sunrise Highway to the north, the train bridge in the center, was nearest to the restaurant, no more than 100 feet or so away. It was a narrow span of riveted steel that spanned the water, no more than 30 feet above it. Something there caught his eye, some kind of motion on the far side of it. Several long seconds of him staring at the bridge was what was needed for his brain to make sense of what his eyes were detecting. Something was hanging from the bridge. Swaying, not rhythmically, as it would if its motion were caused by the wind, but frantically, violently even. Finally, his mind was able to make sense of what he was seeing, put together what exactly it meant. Someone was hanging from the bridge, not from its edge, but well below it. A man, his head bent forward at a sharp angle and his feet kicking wildly. There was no mistaking it then, as much as he wished this were a mistake, that it wasn't at all what was happening. Someone was being hanged. This wasn't the only motion, though. Directly above this dangling man was what appeared to be a scuffle among three men, two standing, one prostrate, each of the two standing figures bent at the waist. One of these figures dropped to his knees, raised his hand over his head and brought it down, then raised it again and brought it down a second time. A hacking motion more than a punch. Each time the man's hand came down, another muffled scream broke and echoed, muffled by the rain, down the length of the canal. The scuffle ended after that, and seconds later the figure of another man suddenly appeared below the bridge. This man didn't fall, but was instead lowered slowly. First his legs came into view, kicking, and then his body, till he came to a stop at the rope's end. The man hanging beside him, just a few feet away, was no longer moving now, simply hanging limp, his arms at his sides, his body twisting stiffly in the wind. It was then, his breath beginning to fog the glass before him, that he witnessed two men running from the bridge, heading toward the other side of the canal, the Hampton Bays side. They were nothing more to him than two dark figures in motion, one right behind the other. Clearing the bridge quickly, they disappeared from his sight, following the train tracks west, leaving the two bodies hanging dead, or close enough to it above the dark rushing water. Back in his truck, he had been overcome by the reflex to run, to just get out of there, and so he had bolted from his place as if it were on fire. He fumbled for the cell phone in the pocket of his jeans, dug it out and dialed 911 with trembling fingers.